We can create art even from darkness. Hello, lovely humans of the internet. I am Cecilia / Taylor is my legal name, but I go by Cecilia here on the internets. I am so excited to be here talking about a brand new artist on the channel. If you are not familiar with my content, if you're new to this channel, I am a professional musician by trade. I like to call myself a middle-class artist. I have a primary background in opera and musical theater, but I've also been writing contemporary music for years and years and years. And so I have a really close tie to contemporary genres and grew up with many contemporary genres such as folk, country, rock, pop, all of those genres as primary musical influences within my family. So I have really strong emotional ties to them as well. This is my music reaction, analysis, and performance YouTube channel. I do have my own album titled Expose with 12 original tracks that will slowly be premiering during the course of this year as I continue to gather funds to produce more music professionally. But the first 6 songs of the album are going to be dropping by fall of 2025. So I hope you guys considered listening to some of my stuff because it is so much fun going down this indie contemporary artist route and using my classical training to kind of venture into other genres that I've always wanted to sing as well. I'm also a professional voice instructor by trade. I have my own music studio here. I'm based out of the Pacific Northwest, and I am so excited because I love talking about new artists on the channel. And this person, who goes by the name of Yebba, is somebody that has been talked about a lot in the YouTube reaction circles. I'm a little late to the party with this particular song. It was very popular to react to for a while, but she is absolutely phenomenal, and I just have been itching to talk about her. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Thank you for being here.
You closed the door and lay down next to me, but then I heard you say her name in your sleep. Your dirty secrets too far gone to keep.
But then I heard you say her name in your sleep, your dirty secrets. Oh my gosh, the poetry in this song. Everything about this sets a very specific mood, and the thematic elements of a song are some of my favorite things to talk about. One of the things that I love about this singer is that the second she opens her mouth, even if it's a vocal run and it's not actual lyrics, it has intense dramatic intention. She is painting a picture with her voice. My students in my studio, oftentimes when we're in the final stages of preparing a song, I will have myself close my eyes and I will tell them it's as if I don't have access to any other senses but my auditory senses. And please sing the song for me, and I want to be able to tell the whole story you're telling from your voice alone. And what's really interesting is a lot of students who don't as much know what kind of gestures they want to do, or their gestures come off as really unfocused. It tends to focus the gestures as a byproduct, because when you know without a doubt definitively what your primary storytelling device as a singing actor, a vocal artist, it's your voice, when you know without a doubt where you want to bring that primary storytelling device, everything else tends to follow suit. And all of a sudden the gestures become innate and natural to you, as if you were just having a conversation with someone. With her, she's holding tightly to the microphone. When you're holding tightly to something, it can give off the vibe of vulnerability. And she is being very vulnerable in this piece. She's catching this person in an affair. The other thing that she did is she started it with a vocal run that set the tone. And that vocal run was like the tiniest cry for help. But it was a cry for help that is being muffled by secrecy, muffled by the elephant in the room, not feeling safe enough to do it, either because of her own own emotions about the situation or of what the partner might end up doing. It kind of sounds like she already knows what the answer is going to be. She's so scared of hearing it because she knows that her entire world is going to turn upside down if she does. I want to go back and listen to that vocal run one more time before we move on. I have a little tiny bit more to say about that, and then we'll keep trudging along in this beautiful, beautiful song. First of all, her entire tone is a little bit airier, and that's on purpose. Airiness in the tone can sometimes contribute to air fluidity, and it's also very indicative of the style she's singing, which is kind of like a jazzy pop lilt sort of situation, blues and soul influences as well. And as a result of that, she's making her voice as flexible as possible while still highlighting the characteristic smoky tone that is really, really beautiful to have in this genre. She's going back and forth between a hum and an open vowel, which is incredibly expressive. She's oscillating between different stages of vulnerability, because there's the I'm crying for help and declaring it from the rooftops vulnerability, which is a little bit bolder, but it's still vulnerable, it's still scary, it still feels exposed. And then there's the vulnerability of I'm afraid to say it out loud. I feel vulnerable, but that's an entirely internal experience. Because a hum is a closed mouth vowel, it comes across as like I'm muffling myself. But then when she is oscillating between the humming and the open vowel, it comes across as, oh gosh, I really want to say something out loud, but I'm pulling back. But I really want to say something out loud, but I'm conflicted. And that already puts us in a state of unrest and in a state of being very emotionally captivated. Y'all, that was hilarious. So I was in the middle of this video. I really, really liked where I was going with it. And then the power goes out. I'm sorry if this is a slightly different angle or whatever. Before I was trying to set my camera up the same way, but I had to re-plug in and deal with a lot of stuff, and I'm still getting my voice back from a summer cold. I don't know, it's just kind of been like when it rains, it pours. But I'm back, and what I was talking about originally was this initial vocal run. This vocal run, it's oscillating between I want to scream it from the rooftops vulnerability and I'm really scared to say something vulnerability. That's the way I'm interpreting it anyway. And so as a result, we get this push and pull that's very emotionally captivating. I love a chorus that continues to repeat lyrics, especially if the lyrics are the punchline in the song like this one, I'm about to lose my mind. When it is done dramatically correctly. Otherwise it can get too repetitive. This is not the case. This is not too repetitive to me at all. This is gorgeous. And the reason why is because she's adding so many peaks and valleys and dimensions to them with the ornament she's doing. Oh my gosh. She's highlighting every single note with so much clarity while still keeping some of that escaping air in there in order to do that characteristic, like kind of like airy, husky tone that not only aids in the flexibility a little bit in the part of her range that she's in, which is kind of this passaggio, that means passage between chest and head, middle voice register. Her vowels, the I'm about to lose that kind of stuff. That stuff is very, very hard to do. It takes a lot of vocal control. She has a little bit more pressure at the beginning of the phrase and then rapidly releases the pressure toward the end. And one of the things that I absolutely love is the change of vowel is also coming across as now I'm just starting to want to scream this out. Now I'm starting to feel so vulnerable and so on edge in this relationship that I have to get this outpouring of emotion into the room. If you notice, she starts more intently looking at the audience and grabbing the microphone in that moment. And even if these things are not meticulously thought out before the performance, she's so innately expressive and understanding of where she wants to go with this song as a performer that she does it anyway, and it rings true and is connected to the theatricality of it all, the expression of it all anyway, because she just innately knows where she wants to go. I'm very praising of the singers that I talk about here on this channel because I don't want to spread any negativity. These are absolutely incredible, phenomenal, successful artists in their fields. And I just want to point out why so many people resonate with their music. And the reason that we are resonating with artists like her and Aurora is because they're this breath of fresh air of pointed, very intentional storytelling, while also still leaving things open to audience members' interpretations, or for them to be able to add on what inspired the artists themselves to write the song in the first place.
I to lose my
There's something very visceral about this, that without words she's able to communicate so much. And it's because she's using freedom of different vowels, going from forte or like louder singing, louder cries for help, for soft, almost like wounded deer cries a little bit. It reminds me of those people that would post reels of them going into the woods and just screaming because they're so frustrated about something and they're so on the brink of an emotional breakdown that they just need to let it all out. I like to think that a lot of contemporary music is our uncensored inner thoughts that all of us can kind of like relate to each other with, but at the same time, none of us really want to say it out loud. That allows us to kind of get a catharsis through understanding this kind of moment of the human experience that would otherwise be secret. These are uncensored inner thoughts that she's kind of screaming out. And I can imagine her like laying in bed asleep next to this person and just this internal dialogue going on in her head and her wanting to scream so bad and not getting to do it. But she gets to do it in a song. She gets to express herself artistically through it. And that's where even in our darkest moments of grief and inner turmoil, even those moments that become incredibly hard for us to handle, we can still create beauty from them. I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of the human experience.
I'm about to lose my mind.
She lets the vibrato come out because it allows that tremolo, that vulnerability in the voice to be highlighted. Now the runs are becoming angry, and so she's going more forte. She's letting more rasp come into her voice. She's actually highlighting what the human voice naturally does in conversation, and she is taking it to a hyperbolized degree, because that's what singing is. It's hyperbolized speech, hyperbolized communication, but she's letting the emotions also guide them and motivate them. And that's actually a really good way to keep your body engaged with breath support too. I've come to find often with my students in my studio that if a student is not emotionally engaged with the piece they are singing, their breath support is just not going to be as present. It's going to be much harder to get them to that supported place, which is why it is so important, in my opinion, as a voice instructor, for me to not force a student to study any music that I think is going to give them good technique. I will give my students repertoire suggestions all the time, but ultimately tell them that they have to choose the thing they most artistically identify with. You can teach technique into anything. I will be honest with students when I think a piece of repertoire is too advanced for where they're at, because I don't want to hurt their voices in the long term. But what I do want to do is I want to create an artist and not just somebody who can sound nice. And an artist is somebody who artistically identifies with what they're singing. She has so much dramatic focus here that you are there on every step of the emotional journey, and she's coming up to a climactic point now where she's mad. It's not sadness. It's not I'm scared to talk about it anymore. It's I want to rage this from the rooftops, which is still inherently vulnerable, but it's that bold vulnerability we were talking about earlier.
I think about you all the time.
I did not expect that. Because I was thinking we were getting up to a climactic point, but she pulled back. Oh, that was interesting.
You can't even look me dead in the eyes. Her love is strong, she got you hypnotized. You say you love me, but I know it's a lie. When I work so hard to keep you satisfied.
So she's loud, she's letting the tremor come in. The break in the voice, the rasp. Going back to that airiness, going back to that vulnerability. Oh my gosh, that was gorgeous, and it was an unexpected choice. I was not seeing that coming. I thought it was going to continue to build. That's exactly what happens. You have these spurts of like courage. I'm going to confront this. I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden, You have to pull back again because you're not in a place where you feel safe to talk about it, or you're in a place where you're still in love with this person, even though they've massively betrayed you. Everything in your nervous system is saying, don't mess this up because I'm in love with this person. And that is such a whack place for your nervous system to go. This is why betrayal it cuts so deep. This is why the majority of our music is written about romantic betrayal, especially. It's one thing to lose a loved one to death, which I think is absolutely a massively, massively profound form of grief that can be debilitating. It's a different kind of grief when the person that you love and trust most in the world, the person that you call your partner, betrays you, betrays a promise that they made to you, and then there's a fallout of the relationship, there's an ending of the relationship, and they choose to continue to exist, continue to live their life. They just don't want you in it anymore. That's like a profound feeling of grief. It's like you lost a loved one, but there's a layer of rejection on top of it that is so hard to cope with. All forms of grief are equally difficult, but in different ways. And this highlights one of the most difficult aspects of it. I'm pulling back, I'm scared, I'm letting the air come out in the voice again. I'm going back to a piano dynamic again, because actually maybe I don't want to sabotage this relationship. And I know that if I let the truth come out, this relationship could end. I don't want to ruin this. My nervous system says not to ruin this. What if I say it out loud? Maybe I should just live in denial. And she's demonstrating that so beautifully in this piece. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
To lose my I'm about to lose my.
Letting that high part break, that totally made sense dramatically to me, because those breaks in the voice can be so expressive. It's not always about being vocally perfect or pristine or clear all the time. Then she continues to go back down to this centered place, the place that seems to be the most easiest for her to control in her voice, as kind of I'm taking myself down. I got up to a really bad place. I got to the bad place again. I got to the big place again. This vulnerability feels safer as an internalized experience. So therefore I have to bring myself back down. I'm trying to get myself to feel okay in this situation. She's just demonstrating that by like going up to this place where she breaks, and then she's like, oh my gosh, I went to the unsafe place. The break symbolized that. And now I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna bring myself back to homeostasis.
My mind, my mind, about to lose.
Now we're back to a more vulnerable version of the previous ornaments. Circular thinking, circle talking. When you're in crisis.
My mind, about to lose my.
Props for how incredibly intricate and crazy hard that type of a run is to do. She motivated that by expression, but she also motivated it by uneven dynamics. If you stay at one static dynamic the entire time during a vocal run, you're going to have a much harder time sustaining the breath for it. And so therefore your voice is going to get less flexible, and it might crack, or it might lose control halfway through. How could you do this to me? Think about the complexity of the runs paired with the lyrics, how could you do this to me? She is getting to this place where it's just a complete mental breakdown, and she doesn't really care who sees. Because it's desperation. I am at my absolute breaking point with this person. They are so frustrating. I feel so betrayed. I feel so dehumanized. I'm just done. This is how desperate it feels. And to see it so clearly highlighted vocally and viscerally and visually by this artist, and by her writing, and by the way that she planned all these beautiful, intricate runs, and the way that she uses her voice to express, is incredibly cathartic, especially for somebody who might be in the moment going through it. Sooner or later, you get to a place in this kind of betrayal situation where the emotions are so all-consuming that you just have to give in, and you stop having as much of a choice.
No way, no way, she can't take you away from me.
She's letting her tears come out, and now she's saying she can't take her away from me. It's that anger stage of grief where she's saying, I need to keep what's mine because I worked so hard for this relationship. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was a good partner to you. She can't take you away from me. And obviously it's pitting the blame on the wrong person, even though if the other person actively knows that it's an affair, then they are to blame as well. But if that person is just as ignorant of the affair as this girl once was, it is all on the partner who is actively in the know about the cheating. When you want to justify staying in a relationship with that person, it's very, very easy to use the outside influence, the person infiltrating the relationship and coming in from the outside that you don't have a relationship or an emotional connection to, as the scapegoat for the pain. And I love the fact that she's willing to go there because that's such a relatable experience for anybody who has been through infidelity. What I also love is the fact that she's letting herself get emotionally captivated by letting the waterworks come out in her eyes. It is very hard to cry without whimpering, but she's letting some of the breaks in the voice happen, but for the most part, she has a really good vocal control while letting her eyes tell the story. And that's a level of vulnerability because our whole face, everything kind of wants to scrunch up and tense when we get really upset. And so it is an art to just let it flow free of that tension. That tension is us trying to repress and hold back. We have a knee-jerk reaction, especially in our Western society, to do that with big emotions. And artists, if they want to cry, if they want to tear up on stage and still maintain some vocal control, still keep it in tune, still keep it sounding good on some level, then we have to learn how to just let it flow without that tension being present.
I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. No way, no way, she won't take you away from me.
Ooh, beautiful, intricate pitches.
But I'll be damned if I
So much vocal flexibility and control.
If I ever leave, anybody know what I'm talking about? No way, no way, she can't take you away from me. Yeah. No way, no way, and I sure.
Okay, I'm gathering evidence that that really high run that broke was indeed a dramatic choice because she just went up into her head voice again and she did it with complete clarity and support. So she has more control over that upper part of her voice. She let the note break on purpose for dramatic intent. The proof is in that head voice jump that she just did later on in the song. The other thing that I love about what she's doing, and she's kind of oscillating between two different thoughts. She's like, she can't take you away from me. I may not stay, or I cannot stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. I don't even know if she 100% understands what that means, but oh my gosh, does it paint a clear picture of the conflicting feelings that you get in the midst of a betrayal. Like, how interesting of a thought pattern is that? That circular thinking that my emotions don't even make sense to me anymore. I'm in such a mental breakdown about this. I'm so heartbroken. I'm so heartbroken that my own feelings are so hard to articulate that sometimes they don't even make sense to me anymore. But I do know that I really don't want to leave, and I need to keep what's mine. I need to defend what's mine. She can't take you away from me. I am defending what is mine. But at the same time, I have to stand up for my own dignity and you hurt me. Which side gets to win? And why am I stuck in this catch-22 of having to compromise my own dignity in order to keep what I perceive to be mine? Acceptance of the fact that there's so many variables in that are out of our control, and the variables that were out of your control worked against you. I think those are some of the hardest situations for us to accept in life. The intricacy and the intensity and the revving up of those runs, the oscillation between sadness and anger that she's highlighting in the clarity of her tone versus the airiness of her tone. She's doing most of the intricate runs when she's in the airy place, and more of the runs that are bigger or intentionally kind of create breaks in the voice in the place where she's sending more pressurized air through the vocal folds. It's an incredibly masterful use of technique. I've probably said that a million times in this video or some variation of that, but it is true.
I won't stay, but I'll be be damned if I ever leave. Oh, in my mind, my mind, my mind, I think about you all the time. My mind, my mind, my mind, you'll always be mine. Oh, no. That's that one.
She's so cool. She's so cool. Oh my gosh, she's so incredible. It so beautifully encapsulates going through emotional trauma. On so many levels, everything that was just demonstrated in that last part of the song, I've touched on earlier. It was a repetition of themes that you heard at the beginning, and it brings us back to my mind, and the circles that my mind runs in when it is coping with grief and emotional trauma. The emotional trauma of the fallout of a relationship that you once thought was precious, sacred, ironclad, and there for you through all situations. And now it is proving to not be. It is not what you thought it was. And that wreaks havoc on your nervous system. And I love how she was so able to masterfully communicate that as an artist. The other thing that I think is important with these kind of songs to understand is that they are driven vocal pieces that are supposed to mimic kind of calls for help and cries and things that cannot be put into words. So they include very, very small amounts of lyrics. They say so much with so little text. And I really think that there is a huge place in the industry for really text-heavy lyrics. I think the artist Taylor Swift is the most mainstream example of having text-heavy songs that really, really emotionally connect to audiences as well. So it just depends on what kind of artist you are and what kind of skills you want to highlight the most. As always, if you want to listen to this song uninterrupted, please do not tell me that over and over. I need to talk less in the comments when it's an analysis channel. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just being angsty because I get that comment like at least once every single video. And I'm like, y'all go to the original channel. My gosh. But most of y'all are wonderful in the comments, so thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed going on the nerdy journey with me to understand a little bit more about my interpretation of the deeper meaning of this piece and how vocal technique plays a role in it. I will be back talking about more artists soon. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, and consider checking out my original music. My single Slow Dance premieres to streaming sites on August 15th, and you can pre-save it on July 25th on Spotify under the stage name Cecilia in all caps. Love you all. See you next time. Bye.